lie. Welcome to the Players Lounge. Yeah. When all the moment, man.
Welcome back and condolences, Ute fans. Everybody's got the wind taken out of their cell. Always a pleasure to see you. Mr. Moss, how are you doing today?
Oh, like you said, a little bit of the wind taken out of our sails today for sure. But I'm doing good.
All right. I'm going to give you a quiz. In one word, describe what happened today.
One word. Disaster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, offensively, can you define it down to a different adjective? One word.
Terrible.
Okay. What about defense?
Resilient.
And special teams?
Average.
So when you add those up, usually great football teams are greater than the sum of their parts, and that was not what we witnessed today. Everybody's got the elephant in the room, the offensive challenges that seem to have taken front and center attention. What do you think went wrong today? Was it part of the game plan? I mean, what do you see happen today?
I don't know, honestly. I think it's a lot of different things. I mean, we talked about it last week, after the Wyoming game, right? A lot of those struggles, a lot of those things that we saw in that first half of that game, right? And then we talked about how do they handle big games? None of these guys have played in big games, essentially, right? Like, you're talking about big noon kickoff, everybody's talking about the fans being super loud, and the atmosphere was great. Like, it was one of the best atmospheres I've been in that stadium in a while. So like all of those different things, right? And I'm not a player, right? So like even just walking in, you kind of just get that, us former players, you kind of wanted to play. So imagine being the current players and what's flowing through them when they got a chance to actually go out there and go do it, right? I think some of it just got to them a little bit. I think they just couldn't execute a lot of the plays that were called. I don't think they did anything differently than what they had been doing before, but we talked about this offense lacking the explosiveness, right? In this conference, you got to be explosive. You got to be able to push the ball, down the field, because every team you're going to face coming up is explosive in some ways. Like, they can get the ball and down in 5-6 yards. I mean, in 5-6 plays, 7 plays, right? We praised the offense a little bit with the 15 plays and plus drives, 18 play drives and things like that. And that was cool in the moment, but that also can foreshadow a lot of things, right? If you need that many plays versus a Wyoming or a Cal Poly or a UCLA, that foreshadows a lot of stuff. And, that's why I was very hesitant to really just be just super all in on the offense. I love the players. I think we have really a lot of talent. And I think Beck has a lot of good ideas on what he wants to do. But being our first real challenge and getting, I don't even count the last touchdown, really. That was a product of just so much energy and momentum finally just punching through in the fourth quarter, right? For 3 whole quarters, we got 3 points, right? For 3 whole quarters, we saw 3 points, right? And imagine everybody who's out at the stadium and getting there super early, right? We talked about them being there super early, and you get to see 3 points that early in the morning, right? Like, that was rough. And I think a little bit of it was these guys have not played in big games, right? Like, these guys have not played, and Texas Tech hasn't played in big games technically either, right? You kind of saw that from them. They were not spectacular. They did not look like a Big 12 championship team.
No, but they had something to prove, and they had a chip on their shoulder. It was stated all week that the muss wasn't going to be effective, which was the only category I feel we were extremely effective in.
Yeah.
We had a lot of offsides drawn or false starts drawn for our benefit when we needed it. They came in. The number one thing I noticed is that's Texas size. Their cornerbacks, their wide receivers, when they would line up against our team, there was an obvious size disadvantage. And then to see the Texas speed, specifically from their number 20 scat back, gave us problems. There was nothing that they did that I don't think that we were prepared for or didn't see on film. It was just a matter of they just decided to execute it much more efficiently and run it right at us.
Yeah.
My offensive adjective would have been struggle. My defensive would have been exhausted. Special teams would have been incognito, in essence, because we are used to big plays on special teams. We haven't been able to find that spark yet. That's something we took pride in back when I played, and it continued throughout the decades. I mean, with Coach Shaw at the helm, traditionally, and the knowledge that's on that coaching staff, special teams is a huge factor for us. Defensively, they were exhausted. I mean, you're talking about the free safety, Nate Ritchie, with 10 solo tackles, and everybody was not in position on every single play that we needed them. And it just happened to be when Texas Tech was in those areas. You look at the big first pass that was given up on the number 20 on the short, the quick crossing, the quick slant that they threw. I watched the motion to mismatch our safety over their scat back. And I even told my boy, I said, it's going to 20. Because they want that free safety to be playing off of that scat back. They had all the receivers clear, and that happened to be the play that Richie knocks over the referee to let him cut up field and get all that yardage. So that was the first kick in the gut. Then we got 2 fumbles that we give away in the first quarter. 1 fumble makes me worried, like I left the garage door open. 2 fumbles in the first quarter makes me feel like I left the garage door, the windows, and all the doors to the house wide open with a sign that says, we're not here.
Yeah.
That is not the way you play at home. I know you heard it. You do not lose at home. You do not lose at home. Good football teams do not lose at home. And I didn't see that energy to avoid that happening today.
Yeah. It definitely wasn't the energy of protecting their house. It was not that energy from the jump. Everything kind of felt a little, not super sluggish, but like there was no urgency to understand the moment, right? And like you may understand the moment, but now when it's time to go out there, the body language, all those different type of things, like guys were, I was on the sideline for a little bit, and guys were, hyped and stuff like that. Obviously, you get hyped for a game and things of that nature, but I just didn't feel that the magnitude was like they didn't reach that where a peak needed to be until the fourth quarter, right? That's when juice started flowing on this. I was like, first quarter, I was down the field, and it felt pretty mundane. It wasn't really a lot of stuff. We had a lot of three and outs, and it was very just like, okay, right? And then I went up to my seats, and I came back down fourth quarter, and the energy was buzzing through the stadium. Then it was a lot of energy, and it was driven more from the players than the fans. At the beginning, it was the fans getting all the energy going, and it felt like the players were missing on that. But then they go down, Tech goes down and scores after you cut it to 10-13, right? I think we had too much momentum, right? Where guys now are forgetting stuff, and then the quarterback takes off and makes a long scramble about 30 yards on the field, which killed us and kind of just put us right back into that place of no momentum, no urgency, no none of that type of stuff, which is weird because you knew this game was coming, right? You knew this was the game that was going to set you up to maybe go where you want to go, right? And we talked about it last week. Like, we'll see what team we actually have, right? Like we've all played, and we know when you talk about those first 3 games, right? I'm not going to hang my hat on beating the UCLA, right? I'm not going to hang my hat on beating the Cal Poly. I'm not going to hang my hat on beating Wyoming, right? Those games are great. It's easy work. It's like a glorified scrimmage, all 3 of them, right? These games, right, when you have good on good, right, you're talking about what Tech spent on their D-line and the athletes they have and that Tech size and speed and all those different things, right? We're talking about good on good, right? Like when we just go to practice and we go ones versus ones, right? You get 10 plays. It's good versus good. It's easy to beat the threes, right? In the scout guys. It's, we all look like All-Americans that day.
You don't hang your hat on the scout team.
You don't, right? You don't.
No.
I've never walked out of practice and say, I had a great practice today. I've never walked out of practice and said I had a great practice, right? So,
well, you had great practice, and you just didn't mention how many yards you yacked up.
I didn't run for 1,000 yards today in practice, right?
You don't keep stats in practice.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like when you get the good on good, your product has to be beautiful, right? And our football team today was just not beautiful. It was hard to look at sometimes, unnoticeable, and it felt like I was all over social media a little bit, just kind of getting the feel of what the fans and everybody were kind of feeling from this, and it kind of felt like years past, kind of the same things that were, where's the passing game? Where is this? And the passing game stood out to me because, I've been talking about this since week one. I wanted to see deep shots since week one because you can't just manufacture deep shots. Like throwing the ball deep is hard, right? That's why when you can get somebody that can go deep, those guys are rare, right? Anybody can catch you a 5-yard out, 10-yard out, right? Now the guys who are special in that area can get some yards after catch for you, right? But it's hard when you're throwing a ball 30, 40, 50 yards in the air and then hitting your target, pinpoint, right? Those are the guys that are really rare, and goes for the same with the quarterback with the touch and all that type of stuff when it comes to that. And we didn't see any of it for the first 3 weeks. And we didn't see any of it versus essentially bad teams, right? Like, if we can't beat Cal Poly down the field, right, and stretch this field and see 3-4 plays of 20, 30, 40 yards down the field, and we're calling, like, we need to call these plays, right? And everybody kept saying, hey, give it some time, it's going to come. But I've played, and I know if you can't do it in week 1, 2, or 3, it's not like it's going to happen. Like, I've played on teams where we haven't ran the ball well. We were in a good running team. And, coaches in the office with you, just, hey, man, just trust it. Keep working. Look, coach, it's week 8. If we ain't got it by week 8, we're not going to get it. This is not a running team, and that's okay.
I'm just as guilty as that because I have said several times on this show, we're not going to tip the playbook. We keep it very vanilla against these opening games.
Yeah.
And I think that was the letdown that we all felt, is we were waiting for the magic, and the magic hat was empty. There was no rabbit that was pulled out. It was anticlimactic. And to watch those dink and dunks on the passing, and I'm like, okay, they got to be setting up something. Then we do get a downfield pass, and we discussed this briefly, that gets called back because of illegal lineman downfield. I don't think that was the design play, the way he threw the ball, the way he had to find it over his shoulder, which was a spectacular catch.
Very good. Yeah.
Showed me that it was an underneath screen, hence why the lineman got downfield. But then again, the film is there. We'll probably never know moving forward from that. We're playing from behind the entire game, not only in the points on the scoreboard, but on the momentum side as well.
Yeah.
It seemed like all of the penalties that we committed ended up being momentum killers. We had the questionable targeting block. We had the questionable reception. We had that. It was all of those things. But that's adversity you're supposed to be able to overcome at home. And they never got that ground. It was a lot of spinning the wheels on offense. I saw them playing behind the sticks on second down the majority of the time. Do you know off the top of your head what our third down efficiency was?
Oof. We had to be somewhere in the 30s. 38.
4 for 14, 0 for 2 on fourth down. You cannot win football games when you're that non-efficient and effective on third and fourth down while committing 2 turnovers in the first quarter. But then miraculously, we get back in it.
Yeah.
And then the wheels fall off because the defense was on the field way too much. There's only so much that the defense can play. It would be interesting. The time of possession was only +5 in their favor, but the storybook totally different tale. The defense was spent because they were hitting there was some Texas speed on that side.
Yeah.
And once they broke through the first layer or the first level of the defense, we were chasing to the sidelines. They ran everything away from the middle. They made sure our safety was running sideline to sideline. We attempted the same thing with our quick screen games. We just could not block their outside edge setters, specifically their corners. Their corners were much taller and just seemed to be more physically menacing. to setting up that outside shade. And that creates problems for those quick passes, those laser screens, and the screen game to get the ball on the outside. We seem to be reaching deep, and it seemed like Texas Tech had certain plays in mind against our predicted defense for that set in key times, specifically those big chunk plays. We mentioned third down. Then I got to talk about explosive plays, what's been renamed these days as chunk plays. Chunk plays was double digits compared to single digits, and it wasn't even close. I want to say that on the post-game radio show, we had 2 chunk plays in all. They ended up having 17 to 18. And that explains why we were chasing so much all game, so much. But I'm glad you mentioned the energy on the sideline, because my father mentioned something to me, because the O-line was getting chewed out at one point, which, I mean, we all knew was going to happen. If we watched the game, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying there was some lip going to come. And it seemed that Whittingham walked over and told the coach that was getting very explicit what the O-line needed to do to calm down.
Yeah.
I'm under the impression that it was because we're on TV. We're vulnerable at that moment. We do not want the heat of the sideline to be the major focus.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people feeling that that is a key to there being a lack of fire behind the team.
Mm-hmm.
You are on the sideline. I know they take the field with vigor, but do you feel like there was this deer in the headlight sense? Was it the early game? Was it Fox News? Were we ranked a little too high to make it a noon game this week?
I think the noon game was warranted. I think the noon game was warranted because of how they played for the first 3 weeks and how Dampier had looked, right? Being in, early Heisman talks and things of that nature. I think that was warranted. Absolutely. Definitely was some deer in the headlights from the sense of just the urgency, right? I don't know what was missing there. Like, when we had to play Baltimore, right, in week 4, there is no, if you can't get up for this game, then if I don't need to be pumping you up. I don't need the coach yelling in my face and doing all of this and, whatever, right? If you can't get up for this type of game, right? And that's why I keep saying, I don't know if they missed just what the implications were, like, fully, because this is not, okay, maybe we'll get back in this thing in the back end of the year, right? This is going to be a good conference where you got multiple teams that can do something, right? They can shake some things up, and you don't want to be in the back seat trying to get to the front seat, right? And right now, we're going to have some good games coming in here as well, right? Where you're probably not just going to be the outright favorite, right? So that's going to be a challenge in itself, and not trying to look down the road. But those are things you have to think about. Obviously, one, as the coaches are, I'm sure, right? And players, you have to think about that as well, right? When you can be a team that has championship caliber, right? When I was in Buffalo, we had 2 different things. It was playoff caliber, right? We wanted to do every single thing, every single day in the regular season that would show us that we had the caliber to be a playoff team, right? To go to the playoffs. That's how we showed up, meetings, what we wore, all those different things. Every single day was playoff caliber, right? And then when we got into the playoffs, it was championship caliber, right? So now you got to raise your level. You can't bring the same level that you bring a UCLA. You can't bring the same level that you go beat up on Wyoming, right? You escape out of that first half. You got 3 points and you figure it out at the back end. No, this is a playoff. This is a championship game. This is a big game. This is not a game where you're just going to mull your way through the first half, which we've seen a few weeks already, right? A lot of this writing was on the wall. It's not super shocking, right? Because maybe you have 1 or 2 guys, right? You probably played with a guy. You might have been a guy like this yourself where, they could just flip that switch, right? And they just, all right, I'm ready to go, coach. Don't worry about nothing else that happened in the week. I'm ready for this game on Saturday. You can't get all 11 guys to do that, right? Everybody got to be on the same page. And it felt like guys were not on the same page. And for me, I'm only strictly speaking of offensively, because I thought the defense played so damn good, right? To make a team like that, right? And they had the starting quarterback. He threw 2 picks. He wasn't looking good, right? Now the second guy came in and did some things or whatever, but their main guy, the same guy who had some Heisman talks early in this year as well, they made him look like not like that guy that had been playing for the first 3 weeks. And I was so happy to see how our defense played. They battled. They made a lot of tackles. They were challenged going side to side. Like they were challenged a lot, right? But for offensively, man, that was a letdown that I was hoping not to see. But at the same time, when you've played and you know what something's supposed to look like, it's also not surprising when we've seen it week after week after week, right? Versus opponents that are not really good at all, right? And we've seen 3 points in Wyoming, Cal Poly, all these flags. UCLA, that was an anomaly game in a sense right now because obviously the coach is fired, first game of the year, you're in LA, all those different things kind of just get you going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you come home, big game, 10 o'clock. I don't think the time messed with these guys. I don't think it did mess with them. I just don't think they had the same urgency.
Did you prefer early games versus late games?
I preferred late games, just because I didn't mind, but we would always get hit with a weird day game, right? It would be like one day game out of nowhere versus all of these games are at night. The rest of the games are at night, even versus some the warm-up games, the FCS schools. Like it was weird. It was like, okay, why are we playing? Let's play those at daytime, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we would get we got like a couple conference games in day, but it didn't bother me, but obviously it's going to bother other guys, right? At the same time, but I don't think it bothered these guys in the same sense of why they weren't executed and prepared. These things have been shown already. Cal Poly, a ton of flags, not a lot of points. Go down to Wyoming, it's a night game, not a lot of points in the first half. Then you come over here, day game, back home, all the energy, all the juice. Everybody's here to come see you. 3 points, 3 quarters. So the time, you got 3 different times, right? Same struggles in every single half. And you cannot be a second half team in this conference because this conference is too explosive. And you saw it at the back end. You can only hold a good team and a good offense for so long, right? It was 10 to 13. These dudes rattled off about 20-something points in the fourth quarter. And before you knew it, the whole entire stadium was almost empty with 5 minutes left to go. It was ridiculous.
Let me ask you this. Well, I played in the days when they actually had to print the kickoff times on the tickets to everybody. So you didn't switch kickoff times. Like that wasn't even an option. But there was one time that they did because we ended up battling for the conference championship against the team down south. And it was a home. So they moved the game up to fill in a specific time slot. But it never happened. And we loved day games back then because we hated watching the entire country play their games while we waited in the hotel. And if you played a day game, that means you got a Saturday night too.
Very true.
If you were playing in the day, you were getting a Saturday night. If not, you were getting off the plane at 1:30 or leaving the stadium late, and you got to be back at the facility the next morning too.
Yeah.
I don't think the time change affected them at all. I think it was a matter of them not realizing what time it was. Yeah. And the time was to play Utah football. And we haven't seen what we define as Utah football. I'm going to throw one number at you. Do you feel that you can win a big football game like this with your longest rush being 8 yards?
Absolutely not. Everything about these conference games is going to be who can be the most explosive offense, right? Like our defense has already shown Tech is one of the best offenses coming into this game, right? One of the most explosive offenses. A lot of different guys can do a lot of different things. They show that they can play, right? And hold guys. For us, it's all about the offense. It's all about the offense, right? I didn't love that.
We had less than 100 yards rushing until the craziness at the end. I mean, legitimately, the score wasn't as big as it looks on ESPN.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell the game, but our rushing yards were not over 100 until we went off just at the end when it didn't matter.
Yeah, I think, I think Beck got a little spooked, right? In the sense of he didn't run it at him. I always hated when coaches felt that way, and because they're playing a game within the game, just like us, right? And I remember go back to 2017 versus Washington. We went down to Washington, and Vita Vea, right, plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a massive dude, right? And they had a really good defensive line. I think a few of those guys, maybe a few linebackers went to the NFL as well, but Vita Vea was the main guy. I mean, this dude could take up 2 A gaps by himself, right? It was ridiculous. And, I loved running the ball up the middle, but for some reason going into that game, everything that was game plan for a run outside the zone, everything was on the edges. Everything was on the edges. And the strength of our offensive line was not the tackles at that point in time, right? But I also at that time got spooked out of just doing what we do. Do what we do. Don't tailor the game, right, fully into because you don't love the matchup or whatever it is, right? Okay, the run game isn't always pretty. You're going to get whooped a lot of times, right? But you got to lean on it. I didn't think they leaned on it. A lot of these quick, bubble routes and things like that, bubble throws to the sideline that matured to nothing. Because then you count on a lot of great blocking from receivers, right? Which we didn't
and that was hard today. That
very
was
hard. We didn't get any of that. So Parker, I believe, has 6 carries, and then Rodgers ended up having 10 because of the back end. They just trying to get out of there, right? So really, I think he had 5 or 6 before that time period where they were like, all right, let's just get out of here, right? You can't go into a game with your two of your better players having 12 carries. I don't care how good the D-line is. I don't care how much money they may have invested in NIL stuff for their D-line. If you
averaged 3.3 yards per rush, with the longest being 8 yards, minimal carries from the guys you need it from.
Yeah, like we got to push the envelope. Like our strength is not passing this ball. I think Dan Pierce is really good. I think 38 passes is not going to be where we see the best from him, right? He's going to be around 15 carries and around 25 to 30 passes, right? Depending on the game. That's where he's going to make his money, right? Because that tells me now we're being efficient, right? Now we're getting some chunk plays, explosive plays down the field. Now we're getting some yards at the catch. We're moving the ball a little bit, right? 38 passes for 160 yards. That's like what Tua did the other night versus the Buffalo Bills, right? And people talk about Tua not being able to throw the ball down the field. We having these struggles. We cannot throw the ball down the field. And once the tape it's 4 games of tape now, right? The first 3 games, you're not going to really watch those. Coaches from the other team are not going to watch those, right? But this game here, they're going to look at the Wyoming game, right? And they're going to look at this game and game plan and be like, you know what? These dudes they can't go downfield. And I feel better about my guys in one-on-one coverage than their guys in one-on-one jump ball situations, right? We have not won one-on-one jump ball situations. Like Texas Tech, our defense played really good ball today, but Tech just made a few more plays in the sense of one-on-one, right? We had some really good defense sometimes where our guys were right there on them, but Tech just ended up making the play, right? And the quarterback trusted it and threw it, right? Then Pierre threw a ball down the field where I don't know what happened. It was he was forcing. He was trying to do something that wasn't there, and that's never where you want your quarterback to be, right? I spoke about him the first 3 weeks. It seemed like he never made a bad decision, right? Because he was never put in a place to make a bad decision. And then out this game where he's not getting all the same different things that he would get in the first couple of weeks, now we see the bad decisions coming because he's forcing it, right? And he wants to make a play. But then you need the other guys to come along with you. When I just don't see how you fix it, because now defenses are going to specifically game plan on these guys and how Beck is calling offenses?
It looked like Texas Tech stayed in a cover one man, but they were disguising it. Either the safety was spying on our quarterback and just flowing to whatever side in case he broke. But then they started to hide a really good hard cover two on the outside. And their corners were jamming our wide receivers constantly inside and getting a lot of contact on them that was not allowing them to get upfield. I saw one double move downfield route. Not saying that was the only one they ran, but it looked like it was such out of desperation that it wasn't going to fool anybody. And that throw that you were talking about, it was out of desperation. He was rolling out to his left towards away from the press box, towards the side I sit on. And he was able to square his shoulders.
Yeah.
But his momentum was still going towards the sideline. And there was a deep drag post on the back side that was trying to cut back, but it was a heave ball. Yeah. It was an absolute heave ball. And that is a measure of trying to force things to have happen.
Yeah.
There was some fundamental breakdowns. That's going to happen. But all in all, I understand what you're saying about it's time for us to have an identity, and we still we're feeling around in the dark offensively.
Yeah.
Do we have the speed to get downfield? I heard we have. We're still waiting to see that happen. There was a point in the game when I wondered if our stable has been built to compete against the Pac-12 still. We haven't seen the Big 12 matchups come up through the ranks and the experience in our systems to be able to compete. Maybe that's what I'm telling myself to feel better after getting smacked in the mouth like we did today. I mean, I'm looking for anything on paper logistically, but today hurt. Today hurt. It hurt a lot more than these Musk kids are going to wake up tomorrow morning, tailgating hard all day, and then sitting in the sun. They are going to hurt in the morning. Rehab, Tuesday's practice is going to hurt. Moving forward, they don't get time off to lick their wounds. They go to West Virginia next week. That's a long travel. It's another off game time-wise. So they've got to find those answers. They've got to find them. I just hope it's quick.
Yeah, that's a challenge. Going down there, that's a great environment to play. That's going to be a great environment to play. That's going to be a challenge, right? That team can throw the ball quite a bit itself. Time, like you said, time change as well as you're traveling across. So I don't know. I'm trying not to. I don't want to put a damper on the team. Obviously, I think the team does some good things. I think the main two things right now is we got to figure out the explosives. I keep harping on that because, really good offenses can create that, right? They can do that. They have that ability to them, right? It's not where, maybe you just run up against a good defense and things get a little chippy there. That's different, right? But we have not seen explosiveness. We've seen consistency. We've seen efficiency. We've seen long drives. We've seen a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. That's all great. But we're missing that last key component. And that's just us being explosive, saying, you know what? If this drive is needed to be 6-7 plays, that can happen, right? We can get a 60-yard touchdown in the air, right? We can do these different things. But right now, everything is we're throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage, asking guys to, strain and make great blocks, and then the ball carrier to make a play with his legs, right? That's a lot. Right, that's a lot. And for some reason today as well, I don't want to see us get away from the run game. Parker cannot have 6 carries, even though he put the ball on the ground now for the second time, right? Second time in 4 weeks. That does not go well with Coach Witt. It's not going to go well with Coach Witt. You putting that ball on that ground, especially twice now. Got lucky and he didn't lose the first one versus UCLA, but he lost that one today. And that's just simple ball security. If you saw it on the Jumbotron, it's literally just ball security. You do these drills every day, right? You got to know when you go into these games, the ball is the most important thing, right? You taking care of my family, your family right now, right? With that ball in your hands. So And that's the way you got to look at it. You can't just think of it and look at it a certain way. And, I saw some frustration from him a little bit on the sidelines as well. When we got back in the game, because I was like, I didn't see him for a while, right? And you never want to take that
asking
confidence
on the text thread.
Yeah, and you never want to take that confidence away from one of your better players. And he plays a certain style that's kind of loose, right? So you don't want him to get tight either. But I didn't see him for a while, and I remember he came back in. He caught a pass, a dump off pass to our sidelines, and he got tackled. And he got up and he just like flicked the ball with a certain energy that I know very well. It was like, man, like I ain't getting this ball. Like, he kind of fed up. He feel like he can have more of an impact. And he flicked the ball at the ref, right? And it wasn't nothing, malicious or anything. Like, but it was just like you could tell with the energy behind it, like he was just frustrated. And I'm like, okay. And then I come down, I'm like, how many carries he got? 6? I say, look, if this was me, 3 carries in the first half, look, whoever was the coach, talking crazy on the sideline, if I went into halftime with 3 carries, just believe I got to be doing what that coach is doing in that locker room, right? 3 carries in the first half. Impossible. Not when we hanging our hat talking about we got one of the best offensive lines in the country. No, we can't.
And I'm glad you said that.
Can't do that.
I'm glad you said that, because you mentioned Beck getting stage fright or maybe getting too out-coached himself, which happens with coaches, overthought. I think back to that first 4th down conversion try when Tech calls a timeout because they didn't like the matchup.
Yeah.
We were heavy on one side. I was excited to see us just, here we go. This is how we do it. We'll establish the run here. We'll keep this momentum. We're right at midfield. Like, this is the statement we need.
Yeah.
We come out from that timeout and we run opposite of the angle. And that made me start to wonder, are we getting gun shy? Is he second guessing? Did he think, oh, they saw us line up on this and called timeout, now I'm going to run it the other way? I started to question, is this being overthought? We didn't see the line surge on either side today. We ended up with 1 sack where there were some hurries and pressures, but usually we dominate the front. You mentioned the expectations are extremely high on a national scale. We didn't fill those shoes today. And it's hard to be an explosive offense, defense, play creator, playmaker if you're not winning that battle up front. I felt our defense was filling gaps, but on their heels because they were getting stretched so far. And that happens when you don't get that line, this line of scrimmage, back into the backfield.
Yeah.
I did appreciate the workshop being put on by their number 20 from the backfield. High and tight.
Yeah.
Right behind his line wall. And his second gear of when it did open, his patience was expert level. And when he saw the daylight, he spurted through it. And then it became a problem for second level and beyond. That's what I'm hoping we see offensively, explosively on our end of the ball. More ball control, like you said, that can deflate anything in a hurry. Don't leave the house wide open like that. The loudest thing I think that happened today on our side was the cannon when we finally got to fire it. I love having a cannon back, but there was this lull over the entire stadium. Either the fans or the players at one time or the other, there just wasn't that energy that we need to see at Rice Eccles on Fox News Sunday or Saturday afternoon broadcast.
Yeah. It's hard to get those people to come in there. It's hard to get those people to come. So when you get a national stage, right, I realized that, a lot of people didn't even see a lot of our games, the teams that we had, because, just playing so late at night. Right.
Yep.
And when I was walking around today, I'm like, man, this atmosphere is great. Like, this is what you want as a player. Like, if you want a stage, you talk about put me on a stage and allow me to go out there and be who I am. This is what you wanted today. And I don't think guys understand that things like this don't come around very often, right? Like, this is not something that is guaranteed every year, right? It's not guaranteed every 5 years, right? It can go a while without getting these things. And you want to be able to perform on this stage. And I think, Not that the stage spooked them. I think just overall, a lot of different things happened that happened weeks prior. But when you play a really good team, like I said, when you play good on good, right? You can't allow these things to happen. And these things just can't happen. And going forward, all this is conference play now, right? You're going to get good on good. Yeah, you might have one stinker in there somewhere that you can figure something out against, right? But right now, this is going to be good on good. And a lot of these teams are quarterback driven, right? The quarterback driven. And they're going to have playmakers. They're going to have guys that can stretch the field, right? This has been this conference forever. It's nothing new in this conference. This conference is always been like this, right? Like you got guys.
Texas size, Texas speed.
Exactly. So like you got to catch up with this because, and I think that's the reason I've really been harping on it now that I really think about it is because this is the conference. The conference isn't, we run the ball and it's clock management, it's great defense and it's turnovers and it's special teams, right? This conference is points, 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 points. How many points can you put up, right, before the other team does it and that clock runs out? Mm-hmm. This team, this offense has to understand that they have to score 30 points a game, right? Our defense is really good. Like today, like I said, yes, they were on their heels a ton because we didn't get any complimentary football today. We did not. Not a 1 ounce of complimentary football, but that defense looked really good with no help, right? We didn't get special teams in our return game. We got to figure out something in our return game, right? I don't know what's going on there, but we can't be losing 10 yards on the punt return, right? And the offense, we've harped on it. I've harped on it for all day now today, and I was in disbelief after seeing it because I just didn't think it would look like that, right? But those two things are the main things. We got to find ways to score 30 points. Like even if the defense has got to have, be able to find ways to score themselves, right? We got to create more turnovers. Like you got to figure out a way to get to what is our magic number? Like what can our team do and what can we do to stop the other team from getting to this magic number, right? When I was in Indianapolis, every week we had Steichen, who was in his first year. Every week, this was our number. It didn't matter who the opponent was. Every week, this is our number. And the number never changed. We wanted to get to, I think it was 24 points. If we can get to 24 points per game offensively, right? And as a team, collectively, that's special teams, that's defensively, right? If we can get to 24 points per game and hold them to 21, we would be fine, right? And that's because of the talent we had on the team, right? That's the talent we had. You had to be realistic about it. You can't look at yourself and be like, man, let's go score 40 today, boys. Look, coach, I'm looking at the talent, you looking at the talent. We don't have a 40-point game in this offense, right? We got 24, maybe 30, depending on if we can get some turnovers and some short field advantage here, right? But I think this team has to understand, hey, we got to set a number, right? Because this offense right now, I'm not going to say right now, this offense cannot go deep. It has no explosiveness to it. It has no stretching the ball ability right now, right? Until I see otherwise consistently, I don't care what you do for one game, right? Like it's really easy to run 100 yards and get it one game and be like, I'm a really good running back, right? Consistency, I want to see, can we continue to do that? So that's going to take the full season now. We're almost halfway into the season already, right? We don't want to keep coming on here and keep talking about, man, what if they could throw the ball down the field? And I spoke about it with Dampier. Talent-wise, he has Heisman talent. If you look at different guys, quarterbacks who've won Heisman, they've been able to do it with their legs, and they've been able to extend plays, and they've been able to throw the ball, right? He has all of those different intangibles to be a Heisman caliber type player in college, right? But I also said he has to have the guys that around him can help him achieve that, right? Like he got to have the ball catchers. He doesn't have the ball catchers right now. I think he got the backs, but the backs can't do what the backs do unless the guy who at the helm is calling those runs, right? Not calling RPOs. That's not a run, right? Let's call a run play where the back knows he's getting the ball. It's a difference between when I got an RPO here and the offensive line can't fire off the ball. They got to stay 3 yards behind. all these different things that go into it. RPO is different from how I mentally are going to go at this play now. Like my mentality is different. I'm a tiptoe a little differently, right? Versus if I know I'm getting a run play solely for myself, and I know this ball supposed to probably go here. When I see it open up where I think it's supposed to go, now I can put my foot in the ground. Versus RPO, you're tiptoeing, you're kind of looking around, surveying, and then you're not trying to clamp down on the ball. It's like, RPO is great. But let's call these runs. Let's really go into a game and just dominate. Like, we need to see a dominating performance right now, and that's offense. That is, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm not losing any sleep. Like, I love Dampier. I think Dampier is a really good player, but he can only go as far as his teammates can take him. He can't throw the ball to himself. We look at Patrick Mahomes the last few years. Pat is still a great player, but he can't put up those numbers if he doesn't have the talent around him to do it. And I think Dampier has all the talent, right? I think we have a quarterback who's really good. But, man, we got to figure out a way to get the guys around him to make him look as special as we think he can be.
I'd be interested because watching you play and previous offenses, I mean, even back to when I played and prior to that, are good offenses if we needed 1, 2, 3 yards, 4th down and 3, games on the line. You knew what play was coming, one or the other. Like, you know what we do well, and it felt good to say, go ahead and try and stop it.
Yeah.
In that circumstance this year, specifically today, I don't know what would be called. I don't know if they believe that it would be successful or if they could get behind it and believe this is what we do. There was a point when every time we punted, we were going to shove it down their throat.
Yeah.
We had a hell of a punter. There were special team players or kickoff. Whenever we kicked off or return, we would have those years that we knew something dynamic was going to happen or we would be successful. But well beyond our average, that's what we did well. I'm not seeing that ability yet. It's not even a lack of identity and energy. It's just, I think we don't know what we do well yet and what we're willing to believe and stand behind.
Yeah.
And if you question that, and you question the person in the mirror, the man in the glass, it creates a problem.
Especially in week 4.
Especially in week 4. I remember, and I'm glad you said those point totals, what we need to reach. I don't know if they still do it in the locker room, but one of the things that started in 94 when we had one of the nationally highest ranked defenses of school history, we were 1 and 2 in a lot of categories. We had a checklist up on the locker room wall, and it was always consistently 2 turnovers, hold them under 300 yards passing, under 100 yards rushing, and then there would always be a 4th or 5th added for each specific team. And as we progressed through the season, the more it filled up like a bingo card, the more success we were having.
Yeah.
And we figured that out really quick. There was a reason why our defense was ranked so high, because we managed those small goals and we all knew what we needed to do to go out and get it. When we go to Colorado State, I believe the first nationally ABC televised Utes game, and we're battling for lead in the conference up there. We didn't need help to get up for that game. We recognized the stakes. The Utes had never been on national TV. We had players from Maryland and the East Coast whose families could actually finally watch them play.
Yeah.
Because every game wasn't on TV. It was a big deal. And we got up for that game, and it was a knockdown, drag-out fight. We come out on top because we checked off those boxes. And I went in as a freshman. The starting corner gets hurt. I get put in as a freshman. It's 3rd down and something, and I know they're going to come at me. Yeah. I'm like, it's obvious they're going to come at me. And I was deer in the headlights, but I remembered the checklist. And if I was going to mess up, it was going to be in favor of the checklist. And the play happened fast, and the back scattered out of the backfield. but I did not give up any major passing yards, thinking our defensive focus has got to be stopping the long ball in this situation for the goals. And they converted the first down, but it wasn't a major gain. But looking back at that, moving forward to the other games, I remember being an underclassman with limited playing time and thinking, though, that checklist helps you be accountable to the big picture, to the identity. And I'd be interested to see if they still have that hanging on the wall or if there is that checklist that they go through every week. And if their schemes need to change, if that checklist isn't being checked off more times than left blank.
Yeah, it was definitely there when I was there, but I don't recall. I don't know anymore. I haven't been inside that locker room at the facility, second. But we have to figure that out.
It's well, before I let you go to get to your weekend, any other things you'd like to add?
Just a personal challenge to our receivers, man. I think that's the main thing. It's a personal challenge to our receivers. Like, this team is really good. This This is not the team from last year or the year before, all these different things. It's not even – this is a really good team. It has a chance to be a special team. It has a chance to do something. Like, the year's not over. The season's not over. But I think the guys on the offensive side of the ball, specifically for me, the receivers, which I've been saying for weeks, right? Somebody has to step up inside of that room and decide to put on that hat. Like, I understand coaches might be like, hey, man, this is a receiver room by committee. That's great, coach, right? But I need to be the guy. Right. After that, I'll be the line leader, right? And everybody else can be behind me. But somebody in that room has to become Dampier's go-to guy, favorite guy, a guy that can stretch the field, a guy that can run off the catch. Just somebody has to develop into that, right? Like, I think they're being coached very well. I don't think that's the problem, right? I think right now it's just no one has stepped up to that plate. And for this team to go where it needs to go because of how this offense is constructed right now, it's not a run-heavy offense. It's not a run-heavy team. It's not. So the years of, we can kind of get away and get by not having a number one receiver is not in our favor right now. Right now, we got to have somebody to show up, right? And, that's the main thing. To me, that's the only thing. That's my personal challenge to that receiver room is, man, somebody has to be the guy. Like, go home, think about it, pray about it, and decide, when I go to work, because this is work, when I go to work, I have to be the best version of myself every day. Right? That's in the weight room, that's in the training room, that's pre-work, prehab, getting your body ready to go do what you wanted to go do. You can't just do no work and think you're going to get things out of it, right? And that's not to say these guys.
Same thing.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah,
you can't do the same thing and expect different results.
Exactly, and that's not to say our guys aren't working hard. Like, I know those guys work hard, but it's just a personal challenge. Even if you think you're working hard, just push it a little bit harder. Just go a little bit further. Whenever you think you are tired, you're not really tired, right? So just push it just a little bit further and really see what you can muster out, because I'm telling you, with the quarterback they have, if I'm a receiver, like I know some guys that I play with right now, that if I'm a receiver, man, I'm licking my chops because this dude extends plays, right? I don't have to be on time on a bang eight or a slant or a comeback route or a post or in. I don't have to be perfect on these routes and all these different things, and coverages can take me out of the route sometimes. You telling me I can beat a dude, look this way, and then the quarterback hits it the other way, and I just slap him off me, and I can go get a ball like that for 30 yards? Man, like, to me, that has to be a receiver's dream, is somebody that can move back there, right? Imagine your quarterback get 3 seconds, man. If you ain't out of this break in 3 seconds, you ain't gonna get this ball because he's sacked. You have a dude who can get out of sacks and give you 7 seconds, 8-second plays, man. So it's like the fact that we have not seen that yet, to me is very, very, very worrisome because I said it the first 3 games where I'm like, man, how in the world is this not happening? Because I've played with a Josh Allen. I know what extended plays look like. I've played with a Joe Burrow. I know, and with the receivers we had there, and T. Higgins and Chase, and I've played with a Diggs. I know what they're looking for. When they get to those extended plays, oh man, it's money time, right? It's easy to, drop some plays and okay, cool. But when you get those extended plays, those are the ones where man, I can do some damage today because he's going to give you 2-3 opportunities, damn period, with his legs to extend plays. And that's where our explosive plays are going to have to come from. He's the engine. He is the engine, damn period. And his legs are the ones that are going to create those explosives for those guys. Those guys just have to dig into that, and they need to practice it. Like I'm itching now to go to practice and see, are we practicing explosives like in that realm of breaking down plays? Because with Josh and Burrow, in practice you can't hit them, obviously, right? But they would extend the play even they got tagged, right? Defensive line said they got them. They would still extend the play and tell the guys to keep working. We would practice multiple times through a day, scramble drill, right? Because those are the plays that the guys who can make things happen unscripted, which we have a guy who can do things that you don't got to run these scripted plays all the time. He can do some things for you and get you out of harm's way. Those other guys behind them in the receiver room got to figure it out, because to me, those are the plays that we're missing that can get us down that field a lot faster, right? Because everything else we do great. We're efficient. We consistently can do things the way we want to do them, and we can impose our will. Not this week, but we can do it, right? Now it's just those other things, those scramble drills, that extra effort, that let me really fight super hard for somebody I know is going to get me the ball down the field.
If we're throwing down the gauntlet for challenges, I will challenge the other side of the ball on the outside. We were physically overmatched from corners compared to the wide receivers. We've got to make plays on the ball. I feel, and this is maybe just old timer me speaking, but I feel like they don't have the confidence to play the ball. They're playing the man, specifically the eyes. You're not going to make any plays on the ball if you're not finding it in the air in coverage before the end of the route. Especially a man. If they're demanding man up and we're playing up close, you got to find that ball and that's your ball. It's a 50-50 ball once it's in the air. Yeah. That was always my attitude. If the ball's in the air, it's a 50-50. You got to earn the right in coverage to look for the ball. But that's where you got to get. No second guessing and create those turnovers. We had some great pass breakup swipes. Some were missed. There was a high ball that Richie tried to break up. He was late on that outbreak on our sideline. That was a great wide receiver play. There were some other ones where they just were not going to be denied. Yeah. But I want to see our defensive backs be a terror and patrol the air instead of coming downhill to establish the sidelines. And if we can do that and give our linebackers more downhill than left and right, our defense can step up that improvement. And then we need that explosiveness and lack of sputtering on the offense, or a lack of sputtering on the offense, specifically on third down.
Our challenges are very similar.
Yes, very similar.
The guys on the outside. The guys on the outside.
It'll just be in a very different, beautiful fall-changing leaf setting next week in West Virginia. The one Big 12 stadium that I plan on going to at some point is the Mountaineers. Beautiful country and beautiful stadium. You see it on TV. Have they announced when the game is yet? Do you know?
1:30 over there.
11:30 our time.
11:30 our time. Yeah.
11:30. So not quite as early, but they'll travel out on Friday, I'm assuming, maybe even Thursday night. Be there on Friday and then be ready to go early Saturday and fly home. Yeah. So we'll wait for the injury report. There were a couple people that limped off the field. Nothing serious. They got back in the game as far as I know. So at least we got some positive momentum rolling into practice on Tuesday.
Yep.
Well, sir, always a pleasure. Have a good weekend.
Yes, sir.
And as always, go Utes.
Likewise.
Thank you so much to everybody for listening today. Please like and subscribe and stay tuned for more UteNation podcasts and coverage.
Welcome to the players' lounge. Yeah, when no other moment, man, it can't compare. Due to the obvious, people look at me.